ladies, welcome. Bro, as you can see, we back with the tornado videos. Bridge Creek, the strongest tornado ever recorded. Now, y'all been wanting me to watch this one for a minute. We've been talking in the comment section, and the time has come. Bro, like always, we ain't gonna do too much talking, but make sure you like and subscribe. Comment what we should watch next, and let's get to this video, man.
It's May 3rd, 1999, and reporter Dan Anderson is sitting in Moore, Oklahoma. He is filming the strongest tornado ever recorded consume the city in front of him.
We out the gates with it.
It's 1999, and it's been 6 years since the state of Oklahoma had seen a single violent tornado. Despite being the tornado capital of the world, areas such as Canada and Massachusetts had seen much stronger tornadoes in leading years. While some saw this as good news, others knew the potential Oklahoma had, and that the good luck would run out eventually. May is peak season for tornadoes in Oklahoma.
It is, and I ain't gonna lie. I've drove through Oklahoma twice this year for different road trips. And every time I go through, I'm scared. Bro. After watching these videos, man, Oklahoma is always storming when I come through. It's always raining. I'm like, today's going to be the day. People going to be reacting to me. Dang. Onward.
Oklahoma, and even though the state had been on a good luck streak, forecasters at the National Weather Service, coincidentally in Oklahoma, were still on high alert. And the first week of May looked like nothing out of the ordinary. A strong low pressure system stretched across the western edge of the United States, but this system actually seemed like a bust for tornadoes. Forecasters rely on weather models, which are mathematical predictions of the future, to make predictions themselves, and the models really showed nothing special occurring. Essentially, from the computer's perspective, Oklahoma seems to have lucked out once again. May.
I ain't gonna keep pausing it. This is a long video. I wonder if AI can help or does help with this, because especially if this is something that's like algorithmic and it's like predicting the weather patterns, I bet AI would probably make like super accurate weather stuff. Somebody that know, let me know in the comments. That's cool. Sorry, I went to school for this stuff.
3rd, 1999. It's a typical Monday in the plains. The massive metroplex of Oklahoma City wakes up to begin the day, and if anything, it feels like the opposite of a tornado day. Instead of a hot, muggy morning with little clouds and tons of warnings, a brisk breeze underneath a calm blanket of clouds greeted residents. Up in the atmosphere, though, things were far from calm. The trough was almost secretly strengthening above. This strength was rapidly shoving warm, moist air from miles away into central Oklahoma. Comparing the models to what was actually happening this morning, the forecasters realized something. Essentially, every computer model had excessive errors, underpredicting ingredients tornado outbreaks thrive on, the very ingredients that were rapidly coming together. Hope of a normal Monday continued to dwindle. The clouds above were slowly peeling back, and by early afternoon, the atmosphere was quite literally a loaded gun, ready to be fired. I want to take a brief moment to thank the sponsor of today's video.
Hold that thought, buddy.
Back to the video. At 3:49, realizing the potential disaster about to unfold, the National Weather Service upgraded their thunderstorm outlook to a high risk across the majority of Oklahoma. At 4 o'clock, just 10 minutes after upgrading the risk, meteorologists noticed tiny specks on radar near the Texas and Oklahoma border. The small showers were moving to the northeast at a relatively slow 25 miles per hour. One of the specks, near Lawton, Oklahoma, was starting to get bigger, and even though it had developed just 30 minutes prior, rotation was beginning to occur within the storm. At 4:40 p.m., not even an hour after the storm popped up, it produced its first 2 tornadoes. 2 very weak EF0s north of Lawton. Within a couple of minutes, the storm began to get larger and rotate faster, and soon the 3rd tornado of the storm would strike. And the first significant one, the F3 tornado near Stecker, Oklahoma, completely destroyed a single home before disappearing. This trend was becoming very concerning.
Shout out to everybody who be taking the photos and videos in these videos, bro. It's some of the best. All we can do is sit and appreciate, like and subscribe for the footage, man. There's great footage in these videos, man. Onward.
As with every new tornado, the damage was getting stronger. A couple minutes later, another strong F3 would touch down near Chickasha. Val and Amy Castor, storm chasers for the Channel News 9, would capture it.
I see debris flying, big pieces of debris flying through the air.
That's big, bro.
Visual of it, it's only about a half a mile down the road from us. It is definitely a wedge. I mean, based on visual, it's at least an F3. It's at least an F3.
At least.
We've got debris hitting us at the side of the truck from the west winds wrapping around it.
As the tornado began to become smaller, a thin satellite tornado was captured orbiting the main circulation.
And this, and that one is getting bigger. The main one is getting
it's
bigger
multiple.
too, much bigger.
Just a few minutes later, another storm chaser, Oliver Smith, would capture the tornado, disappearing once again.
I mean, not Highway 81, but the Bailey Turnpike. We're just looking at it. It's packed with cars coming southbound, Mike. I don't know where this is a crossover.
But of course, just as the F3 dissipates,
It can
the
come
storm
right
spins
back.
up a new area of rotation. This time, it was quite disorganized. A thin, wispy F2 over the Chickasha, Oklahoma airport. Despite being relatively weak, it was able to damage multiple of the buildings on the property before again lifting. Something different was observed from this F2, however, as although quite thin, the core of the vortex began digging up swaths of the top layer of soil, a process known as ground scouring, only seen in some of the strongest tornadoes. If a thin and wispy tornado from the storm could produce this level of damage, what an established and long-lived tornado could do is scary to think about. Unfortunately, the residents of central Oklahoma would get the answer to this question. Stretching out from Oklahoma City lies Interstate 44. Along the interstate are multiple overpasses that connect the road to other communities. Communities such as Amber and Bridge Creek, Oklahoma. Near an overpass east of Amber, storm chaser Mike Duncan and his colleagues are sitting. They're getting footage for the news station KFOR, the same news station thousands are now tuning into as an apparent tornado outbreak is beginning. As the storm's base comes into their view, they notice something. Broad rotation encompasses the clouds, almost like the entire storm is trying to spin. Mike begins to film what he's seeing.
It's happening in
Cloudy
front of his
tentacles of
eyes.
dust begin to swirl sporadically under the clouds before a thin funnel takes over. It's not long before the funnel lifts up, but as Mike zooms out, something terrifying is seen. Dust is swirling underneath the entire cloud, as if the circulation is the entire cloud, which would be over half a mile wide. The rotation gets stronger. As it becomes clear, something is very different about this tornado. The new tornado's track is already incredibly wide as it begins east of Amber. It strengthens slightly as trees are ripped up and small farm buildings are destroyed. David Payne is chasing for the news station KOCO. As he and his partner drive down the interstate, they notice a sudden change in the tornado's look.
Near Amber. The ground again.
Wow, bro.
There is a violent, rapidly rotating tornado, estimated width here about an eighth to maybe a quarter of a mile wide. And again, winds in there.
Whoa. Oh my goodness, bro. I was finna ask a question, but I already know the answer, bro. Just look at it. And it looked like it's coming right at him.
Approaching
This is
200
crazy.
miles an hour. Where we are, we have winds flowing into the tornado right now at about that.
Within just a couple of seconds, the wispy tendrils conglomerate into a massive and violent wedge tornado.
Bro, look
At the
at
same
that.
time, the tornado begins to strengthen rapidly. Ground scouring appears once again as the grass is dug away in a swirling pattern underneath the tornado. Except this time, it's not in the middle of fields. It approaches its first target, a small subdivision of homes along Dewey Edwards Drive. As it approaches, houses not even in the core are damaged, and as it crosses over the road, 4 homes are leveled to the ground. Their debris is thrown into a tree line to their east, which is mangled and shredded. Within just a few minutes, the tornado had become incredibly violent. Mike Duncan is still filming. He watches as the wedge tornado
Oh my
morphs in
goodness,
shape
bro.
while quickly rotating. Soon, another shift in the tornado's appearance occurs. Within just a couple of seconds, the tornado falls apart before coming back even stronger. Past the subdivision of homes, the tornado continues, where it's now heading directly for the community of Bridge Creek, Oklahoma. The monster now most likely has some of the strongest winds conceivable on Earth. The tornado has no intentions of lifting as it crosses through multiple fields, beelining straight for the first road of Bridge Creek, County Road 2948. As it crosses, the forward speed of the tornado begins to slow down slightly.
At what point is it best to just evacuate the crib? EF4 or EF5 come through a neighborhood, bro. Is it even worth trying to hide in the house if you don't have no shelter? Like it almost seems better to just try to get away, bro. Because if you just sitting there, it's a toss up. Really, let me know what y'all think about that. I feel like if I get word that it's an EF5 in the vicinity, I'm just finna go somewhere else. Oh, bro.
Allowing the tornado to slowly crawl over the neighborhoods. Within just a few minutes, the area would be scrubbed off the earth. Trees in the core of the tornado were ripped out of their root systems and tossed. Unfortunately, this area of Bridge Creek was very poor, and almost every single structure impacted was a mobile home, making it even easier for the tornado to wipe everything away. The rest of the southwest side of Bridge Creek felt the same destruction. The tornado carved into the earth as it expanded to almost an entire mile wide. One of the homes destroyed was the Crago family home. In the destruction, Catherine Crago was killed. Her daughter,
R.I.P.
Amy, survived though, and Amy's 11-month-old baby was tossed into a field and caked in mud. The moment an officer discovered her was captured on camera.
Bro. What?
It exited the first.
Bro, how did that baby live? I need the science. The baby might be Jack. Bro, the baby got tossed. I'm so happy it's alive. So, sometimes I don't be knowing what to say in these videos, bro. That's how you know I don't fake it. None of my reactions is fake, because sometimes I'm just speechless. I'm processing it just like y'all. Oh, bro.
Neighborhood of Bridge Creek, crossing through fields and slowly crawling towards its next neighborhood, a subdivision along Red Rock Road. The damage here was almost insurmountable. The tough red clay that covered the area was completely dug up. Every single home in the neighborhood was swept cleanly away. A large portion of the asphalt road, over an inch thick, was ripped away here as well. Moving to the northeast, more rural subdivisions felt the wrath of the winds. Large homes were continuously swept away, and mobile homes practically disappeared. The most striking damage was not just the homes and structures though. Some of the most extreme vehicle damage ever documented occurred in the southwest area of Bridge Creek. One truck had all of its insides gutted before it was wrapped like a blanket around a telephone pole.
That's a truck. You always like when I say it, but there's no better way to describe it. This is cartoon physics. This is a vehicle wrapped around a pole so good that it looked like a freelance artist made this. A tornado did this. This was a normal truck, bro. This is insane.
All the while being caked in copious amounts of dirt. Practically no grass remained in the core of the tornado, making the damaged areas appear more like a drought than a tornado. Tree lines were mangled down to the ground, stripped of their bark, and sprayed with bits of cars,
Wow.
homes, and buildings, leaving behind piles of unidentifiable shrapnel. Val and Amy
Wow.
Castor are now watching as they parallel the wedge tornado across the interstate.
We're just about to get hit with debris. It's got to be on the turnpike now. It's, there's all kinds.
Continuing, the tornado impacted a large brick home. This home was very well anchored, and as the vortex passed, it was turned into dust. The only thing remaining on the property was a slab swept perfectly clean, and small bushes and trees sandpapered
Wow.
of their bark. These images would depict some of the worst tornado damage ever
Bro,
documented.
trees no
Continuing
bark.
through Bridge Creek.
Trees
home
no bark is
after
crazy,
home,
bro.
And field after field was reduced to nothing. Mike Duncan films as two large vehicles pass him. These vehicles are nicknamed Dow 1 and Dow 2. Dow standing for Doppler on wheels, essentially a Doppler weather radar attached to a moving vehicle. The vehicles allow researchers to get radars incredibly close to storms, which in turn allow them to collect important scientific data, such as wind speeds inside of tornadoes. The Dow trucks are currently scanning the air, and what they see is terrifying. Sustained winds of over 200 miles per hour are being logged, some of the strongest readings ever seen inside a tornado. As the tornado exits Bridge Creek, meteorologists begin to realize the severity of the situation. The tornado has shown no sign of stopping and is now beelining straight for the Oklahoma City metro, a massive city with hundreds of thousands of people. With death and damage updates slowly trickling through from
Here we
Bridge
go.
Creek, the potential was realized. Something more dire than a tornado warning had to be issued. At 6:57 p.m., the first ever tornado emergency is issued for the cities of Moore, Oklahoma City, and the surrounding metro. The warning read, "Tornado emergency in South Oklahoma City metro area." At 6:57 p.m. Central Time, a large tornado was moving along Interstate 44 west of Newcastle. On its present path, this large damaging tornado will enter southwest sections of the Oklahoma City metro area between 7:15 and 7:30 p.m. People in Moore and South Oklahoma City should take immediate tornado precautions. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. If you are in the path of this large and destructive tornado, take cover immediately. This wording is some of the most frightening ever written in a tornado warning. Mike Duncan and the Dow trucks are still following the vortex along Interstate 44, and notice it becomes increasingly wrapped in rain and debris. The tornado here is now practically invisible. As it engulfs more and more dirt, it begins to turn into a murky brown. Suddenly, a funnel starts to emerge from the rain. Something strange from within the storm is occurring.
Why
The
is
path
y'all on
begins to
foot?
shrink and become more erratic, and as the smaller vortex emerges from the clouds, its violent motion becomes apparent.
Back up, bro. Oh my goodness, bro.
The tornado begins to slow down, almost to the brink of stationary. The Dow trucks point the radar directly towards the funnel, and what they see is mind-blowing. The radar measures wind gusts in excess of 330 miles per hour, meaning the tornado now has the strongest winds ever measured on planet Earth. Unfortunately, this would occur in the absolute worst spot, as the tornado is now sitting directly over one of the overpasses on Interstate 44. Underneath the overpass, two
gotta
men,
pause
a
it.
mother
The strongest winds ever recorded on Earth. If you don't like this, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't think I got nothing for you. If you don't like this video, bro.
and her son climb underneath the girders to shelter from the winds. The
Kinda
mother,
smart.
Kathleen Walton, feels the winds accelerating upon them, and as the metal girders bend and squeal, she shields her son Levi with her body. Kathleen would be sucked from underneath and killed. She was described as a loving mother and generous to a fault. As the rest of the group climbed out, caked in mud, Levi was heard screaming, "Where's my mom?" Kathleen was a single mother and described as all Levi had. This horrific narrative, sadly, was not unique. Dozens of deaths were
R.I.P.,
now
man.
coming in from Bridge Creek as well, and the tornado was destroying homes and families, and it had no plans of slowing down. In fact, it looked like the worst was yet to come. Underneath another overpass, another mother and her children, Tammy Holgren, and her 2 young daughters sat trying to save themselves from the tornado. Miraculously, the sporadic path meandered slightly to their south, sparing them from the same fate as the Waltons. A journalist was also sheltering near them and snapped another incredible image of the tornado
Wow.
leaving the scene. The sporadic nature of the tornado becomes even more apparent as it approaches the north side of Newcastle, Oklahoma. The vortex continues to thin out while still digging up the ground. Storm researcher Tim Marshall records as the vortex turns into a pronounced tube and crosses the road in front of him.
Could y'all imagine seeing it?
Turn it this way. Turn it to the other way, please. Think of the camera. Think of the camera. It's already past them.
As the storm approaches the Canadian River, another feature appears. A satellite tornado, far from the main one, touches down, dancing aimlessly in the field.
This is incredible.
The strange behavior from the storm could hint that it's getting ready to dissipate, but in reality, it's doing anything but dissipating. As it crosses the Canadian River, Tim watches the tornado suddenly and rapidly grow in size. The water and mud it picks up from the river fill up its entire windfield, creating a wall of darkness. Simultaneously, Jim Gardiner, the helicopter operator for K4, ascends his helicopter into the sky, and despite the strong winds and dark conditions, he's determined to broadcast the monster to the people of Oklahoma City. As he finds his bearings and tilts the helicopter towards the south, he sees...
Is that smart? Now, I don't know much about piloting, but flying a helicopter to a tornado, is that smart? I don't know.
the monster in its entirety approaching the city.
We're getting a lot of turbulence here, Mike. We're right on the edge of the winds are just incredible when we went into Westheimer. There's no power at all. Mercy vehicles running around. There is no power on the southwest side by Oklahoma City Will Rogers World Airport.
At the exact same time as Leroy, reporter Dan Anderson finds an open area off the interstate in the suburbs of Moore in Oklahoma City and begins to film the tornado from inside the metro.
South of Crossroads Mall, you're looking toward the south, and there's the large tornado on the ground now moving through.
The people of Oklahoma are now watching the strongest tornado of all time as it begins to devastate their communities, the first of which was a group of homes on the outskirts of Moore. The tornado never ceases to carve the ground, and it continues to grow in size, crossing the intersection of Drexel Avenue and Southwest 149th Street. Multiple large, well-built homes are cored directly and destroyed. Its path is still rather sporadic, making strange twists and turns as it regains its bearings and widens. A group of homes on Highway 37 are the next target, being directly impacted. Every single home in the neighborhood sustains some level of damage, including a handful that are swept off their foundations. It's almost like the tornado decided to grow massively in size and strength right as it entered the city. Now, with every inch the tornado travels, the areas it impacts will become more and more populated. The tornado meanders through a small field, mauling a tree line before the wedge begins to engulf the East Lake Estates neighborhood. Rows of exceptionally well-constructed homes are wiped away, in some cases heaving up pipes and plumbing from within the foundation. The scale of the devastation in the neighborhood was mind-boggling. Despite both being in interior rooms inside of bathtubs of well-built homes, 2 people would die in East Lake Estates. As the tornado exited the neighborhood, it brushed the Westmore High School, ripping off portions of the roofing.
Sometimes you just gotta pause and look at it a little longer.
Cars were thrown here and mangled beyond recognition. As it leaves the neighborhood, it crosses over Southwestern Avenue. Across the road sits the Emerald Springs apartment complex. Many tornadoes have struggled to fully destroy multi-story apartment buildings due to how large and reinforced they are, but not this tornado. Several 2-story tall structures from within the complex are reduced to their slabs, killing 3 people who attempted to shelter inside. Crossing a tree line to the northeast, a subdivision of newly built townhomes lie. The tornado does not spare these either, again wiping multiple off their foundations.
Another thing that's crazy about tornadoes is you could be this person or you can be this person. And there's nothing deciding. It's completely random if it's gonna hit you and all them or if it's gonna hit them. You really can't do nothing but just hope. That's insane, man. RP.
Back in the sky, Jim struggles to capture the entire tornado from his helicopter, but power flashes near the base indicate electrical lines and transformers exploding, creating zero doubt that the tornado was consuming the neighborhoods. Past a field, the vortex crosses over North Santa Fe Avenue into more large residential areas of Moore, Oklahoma. Damage still does not falter. Hundreds of homes were destroyed or swept clean away, and the tornado's funnel filled more and more with granulated bits of cars, homes, and dirt. At one home, a safe anchored to the foundation is ripped away and tossed like a toy, and more plumbing is ripped from the ground as distorted cars impact now empty foundations. Somehow, the vortex is still going. It approaches the main road of Moore, Interstate 35. Here, Dan Anderson watches as the tornado emerges, and he captures one of the most iconic pieces of tornado media ever.
Outages because these storms are moving into the metro area. We're going to have.
Let's stay with that shot. Look at the debris. Look at all the debris. Look at all the debris in the air. Folks, please, we plead with you. You absolutely have got to get down. Get to the lowest level you possibly can. We plead with you, do not take the extra minute or two. We plead with you, space, please. We plead with you, go to your safe spot now. Take your radio, forget the live pictures, go get safe. Oh my gosh.
89, South 89.
Folks, we plead with you, just go to your safe spot if you possibly can. That's an F. Look at the horizontal vortex. That is an F4 to an F5 tornado. That's winds of 250 miles an hour.
All right, we're asking our crew right now to shut down, get out, and get out of there. This is a dangerous situation.
Across the interstate, the neighborhood of Highland Park was enveloped the same as every area previously. At this point, the tornado was full of so much debris that it was more akin to a massive blender than just tornadic winds. This blending allowed large trees to be sandpapered once again, leaving them as a skeleton of bare wood. Cars were perpetually tossed like toys, and some of the worst vehicle damage occurred here. Near the edge of the neighborhood, a very large home was completely swept away, with essentially nothing left. The photo became one of the most iconic tornado damage images, but reports are conflicting on if this was done by the tornado or a rumored house fire before the tornado. Whatever the case may be, it seems likely this level of damage could have easily been done by the vortex. By this point, the tornado had traveled over 30 miles straight and had caused consistent, mind-blowing damage to everything it touched. However, the worst of the devastation was possibly just to come. Just a couple miles to the northeast,
And it get worse, it's
the
crazy.
projected path was now aiming straight for a large trailer home park. If large brick homes were failing to sustain the winds of the tornado, the death and destruction to a packed community of mobile homes would be indescribable. As the tornado continued to approach, a miracle seemed to occur. The path began to slightly curve to the north. However, the new track was now heading potentially towards something worse. Along Highway 240 to the north, several industrial warehouses and metal buildings were placed. One of the buildings, American Freightways, held dozens of employees, all hunkering down as the tornado approached them. As the winds impacted the area, trucks and metal equipment began to be slammed and tossed violently. Mud splattered against the debris as the ground continued to be dug up. Unfortunately, 2 employees would die in the impact. The tornado continued to the
RIP.
north, curving towards the community of Del Air. Just like every community that came before, the neighborhood was obliterated and 6 people died. To the east sat the
RIP.
Tinker Air Force Base, where hundreds of Air Force residents stayed. In a stroke of luck, the tornado continued to curve to the north, just barely missing the base. After the base, the tornado began to shrink once again, but it also began to weaken slightly. The first time we had seen a substantial weakening since the tornado touched down. It crosses over more industrial buildings, only partially destroying them. As it crosses Interstate 40, a neighborhood to the north of the highway would be the next target, and the destruction remained devastating, killing 3 people. Finally,
Dang.
without any warning, the
RIP.
damage would cease. The tornado had lifted, and the carnage ended with it. Over 36 people would be found deceased, with over 500 significantly injured, making it the deadliest tornado in over 50 years. One survivor was uninjured, but unfortunately died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound in reaction to losing his home in the tornado. The storm
Wow.
continued to the northeast. It produced a weak and brief F2 tornado before completely fizzling away, as if it had expended all the energy it had into the earth.
On your
Oh
FM
my
dial
God.
on 104.1,
Oh my God.
This is crazy.
107.7,
Mike,
that is damage.
Mike.
Okay.
Yes. Go ahead, Jim.
Mike,
Yes.
you
You're live.
got to look at this. This is phenomenal. It's gone. The neighborhood is gone. We are over a neighborhood just west of Tinker Air Force Base. It is gone, Mike. I'm just following the swath of where this went. It's probably at least a quarter mile wide.
Oh.
Here, look at this. It's the whole neighborhood, Mike. The whole neighborhood is gone.
Those that are listening
You're
on
looking at
radio, we're looking at damage of what was a neighborhood. Unfortunately, it looks now.
It's totally destroyed.
It is. Boy, I'm almost speechless. It's
It-
absolutely incredible. These are homes that are no longer homes.
No roofs,
just
no
scattered
walls.
debris for miles and miles.
It's a lot of lives
Dangerous,
impacted you looking
situation.
at.
The tornado outbreak as a whole would be one of the most extreme ever, including an F4 tornado that, despite missing the town of Mulhall, was still wide enough to completely level half of it. May 3rd, 1999 would become one of the most infamous days in tornado history.
Wow. WV, man. If you watch that all the way through, make sure you like and subscribe. We out.